What cheer, y'all? Welcome back to Right at the Wire. Well, we're going to take a look at yesterday's Louisiana Derby, look at the replay and see how the combatants did. And, you can see from the weather, it was a really beautiful day, so we had no problem there. And you see Caldera stumbled at the start, and that pretty much was, pretty much the story of the day for him. He didn't do a lick of running, but John Hancock right to the lead, Furio and Yinzer giving chase, and we expected that with Built. Everybody's pretty much where we expected them to be. But I did, initially watching this, I just thought, the three back horses, 3, 9, and 10, were going to be too far back to make an impact. But boy, was I wrong.
And on the outside is Yinzer, who follows John Hancock.
You see Chunk of Gold sitting about mid-pack, and he had a nice ground-saving trip and finished well. We thought he'd run well, and he did.
And on the outside is Caldera, who's next in sixth. Further back to Vassimo with Hypnus, Tistastic, and Trail remains. Instant replay. A quarter for John Hancock. 22.9.
You see the fractions were pretty quick, and we kind of expected that he was going to have John Hancock was going to have a hell of a lot harder time than he did in the Sam F. Davis, and I really think it wrung him out. He did pretty well to finish fourth, I will say that. But right there's no excuses. He's trying to get away, and he just can't from Built. Built had no excuses for that matter. He ran his race, it just came up short like he's been doing. It's just a cut below. You see Chunk of Gold's in good shape too.
Hypnus and on the far outside,
here comes Tistastic.
As they straighten away, instant replay is moving from out of the backfield, but it's Built, and Built has taken the lead here for Jose Ortiz.
Tistastic just kept on running. He finally got free, and look what happened.
Right there is Chunk of Gold between horses, and on the outside, Tistastic as they come past the 16th with Joel Rosario. It's Tistastic now.
I don't think Hypnus really had much of an excuse. He just didn't have the same kick as the other later runners. But nice effort, so let's grade it out.
John Hancock finished fourth.
So let's grade out the Louisiana Derby. John Hancock, I give him a B-. I think he did well to hang in there for fourth, but certainly wasn't able to cope with a lot more pressure than he got in the Sam F. Davis, and I kind of thought that was going to be the result here. Certainly this horse has quality, but in his third lifetime start to be pressed like that after having two races where he had an easy lead, it's no surprise that maybe it took a little bit out of him. And he did all the heavy lifting without a doubt. And like I said, I thought he kept on well. So he gets a B-, but we were pretty sure he was going to be vulnerable, and he was. Chunk of Gold, I thought, ran a very good race, and he proved that he was no freak or fluke in the last in the Risen Star. He rated about mid-pack, and he made his move, just wasn't good enough. But I thought it was a solid effort, and if he, maybe he's got another move in him, wouldn't count it out, so he gets a B+. Of course, Tistastic gets an A. He won the race. I will say, though, that I don't know if he necessarily progressed or made a move forward, and I'll tell you why. I kind of watched that race, and I think he won it because he just kept running. I really do. I mean, he's got quality. I'm not going to he ran a good race. He did get free of traffic, which he had been having problems with that. It was reminiscent of Laganos. He had all kinds of problems, and then once he finally got free, he won a race. And so it was sort of the same type of feeling I got, and both are trained by Steve Asmussen. I don't know if we put Tistastic in the discussion for a win candidate for the Derby after this one, but he certainly did run a good race, and we know a 1.25 miles isn't going to be a problem for him. So for that, Tistastic gets an A. Yinzer was cheap speed. He was out of the race pretty quickly. Caldera gets an absolute F. Stumbled at the start, and things didn't get any better for him. He didn't run a lick. We know this about the coach and his horses. They're good 1 minute, they're bad the next. You never know what you're going to get. But I think it's safe to say we don't have to worry about Caldera for the Derby unless the coach wants to try to run him back for the Lexington, which I think would be an abuse of the horse. I think he needs a break. But Preakness, probably. We'll see if he can rebound off of it. But, the fact that Getaway Car ran so poorly in the Virginia Derby, I guess we shouldn't be terribly surprised and that was an error on my part. I thought Caldera was progressing and had another move in him, and he just didn't. So Caldera gets an F. Built gets a B because he ran his race. It just wasn't good enough, and that's the story on Built. He's a really nice horse. You can count on him. You can always think about him for the exotics, but he just can't seem to close the deal. And now you've got to think that perhaps it's not necessarily the class of the race getting better and the Built suffering. It might be the distance, because as these races are getting longer, he's finishing farther and farther back. So he's still a nice horse, and he tries every time. You got to love him, but he really had no excuses in the Louisiana Derby. But I'm going to give him a B because he did finish in the money. Vassimo kind of ran pretty evenly. It looked pretty good early on, and just really never built on it. He kind of gets a gentleman C for me. He probably ought to get worse than that because he really wasn't much of a factor in the race at all. But I give him a C. Furio, cheap speed. He was out of the race, I think, quicker than Yinzer was. And that was all we expected from him. So the big surprise of the day for me, without a doubt, was instant replay. He certainly proved that Lasix wasn't necessarily the factor that led to his big improvement for his debut at 3. He ran a really nice race, and he was closing very well. He just had way too much to do late, and had he moved at the same time as Tistastic, maybe he would have been more further up in the race. I think he's going to need another race to get in the Derby. I don't think 25 points is going to do it, but stranger things have happened. We'll see. He gets a B+ because he ran well. He ran a lot better than I thought he would. And maybe this horse is, if they can get him engaged a little bit earlier, then perhaps this will be a horse we'll want to be paying attention to later on in the 3-year-old season. Right now, maybe the Preakness, I guess, or perhaps the Belmont. I don't know, but I don't think he's going to make the Derby. Hypnus, C-. He was exactly the same place as Tistastic was, as well as instant replay at the back. And he, I didn't see any plausible excuse, and he just flattened right out, and he just didn't, he didn't have it. That's 2 races in a row without Lasix. And, you got to wonder if maybe that's the tonic for him to get a good race out of him. I know a lot of people were really high on him. Kenny McPeek was talking him up quite a bit. But, Kenny McPeek talks up his horses quite a bit. And, it's he's a nice trainer. But you just never know with his horses. They're so hard to bet. And they just never really give you a clue as to when they're going to pounce and sprout, Torpedo On is the only one I've ever seen where it's like you know what you're going to get every time. So Hypnus just proved to be pretty ordinary, and I don't think we have to worry about him for the Derby either. So that's the Louisiana Derby. It was a fun race to watch. I don't know where you stack this one up in terms of Derby preps, but I have a feeling it's not one of the better ones. It seems like the field is kind of average, maybe a little bit below. And, Tistastic winning this, I don't think necessarily elevates him terribly much. I think he's more, to me, a horse that we were thinking about him before the Louisiana Derby. Is a horse you want to think about for underneath in your try and your super, because he will keep running. And I think that's pretty much what it is here. I don't have a positive perception or a negative one for Tistastic from this one. I think he's just did what he does. He just kept on running, Forrest Gump, and he won the race. So that's called, take that for what you will, but that's my impression of Tistastic after this race. I welcome your comments. Love to hear your insight. It makes us all better when we hear multiple viewpoints. I'm sure there will be different ones. But I hope you can take something out of this as you're getting ready for the Derby. We're getting real close. We've got about a month and a half away, and I know I'm getting excited. I'm sure you are too. To that end, we've got 2 more 100-point races this weekend coming up, the Florida and Arkansas Derby, and we will certainly have postings for both of them. We'll have full coverage, sequences, best bets, value plays, full card, all that stuff. Just have to see whether we do Oaklawn or Gulfstream. We might even do both. We'll see if we have the time. Let me know. If you guys have a preference, I'll be happy to entertain it. Certainly, if you do like content like this, please like and subscribe. And really love the way this community continues to grow. And thanks so much to all of you for your support. It's really becoming a really nice group, and I'm loving hearing from you new people who have made comments. And I thank you for chiming in. And you've had a lot of interesting observations, and I appreciate it for sure. So that's it from here. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.